Hello everyone, today on the review we have Sony Alpha 9. This is the most advanced and most expensive Sony camera so far. So let's take a look what is this camera all about. This camera competes in category where up till now there were only two cameras, Nikon D5 and Canon 1DX, Mark I and Mark II of course. These are professional sport and photojournalist cameras, so it is very interesting to see if Sony is capable of competing with these two. Now, first thing you might notice is the size of Sony. Nikon D5 and Canon 1DX are really big cameras, approximately this big. They weigh above a kilogram, so Sony is 2 or 3 times smaller and also 2 or 3 times lighter. Nikon and Canon are of course DSLR cameras, and this one is a mirrorless. There is nothing between the sensor and back element of the lens. Sony has also produced a brand new 24 megapixel full frame sensor, which has a very fast readout speed. This sensor can read up to 20 frames per second in RAW format, and it has buffer big enough for 200 or 300 shots. Now this is something unheard of before. Second major improvement of Alpha 9 is sensor readout combined with a fast electronic viewfinder. When you are taking shots in electronic shutter mode, there is no blackout whatsoever. This is an excellent thing to follow moving objects. If you're gonna use this camera in mechanical shutter mode, and also if you compare it with DSLR cameras which have a blackout, you will see there is blackout in this mode. In electronic mode there is none whatsoever. In fact, it is so good when I was firing even a single shot, sometimes I wasn't sure if the camera actually took a photo, nothing happens on the screen. It also has a very advanced autofocus system which can track really good moving objects. Of course, this goes only when you use native Sony lenses. At this point I have Metabones adapter with Canon lenses. It also works quite good in this configuration. Autofocus is quite snappy, but it is not as fast as with native glass. So if you want to utilize full autofocus speed of this camera, you really need to invest in native Sony lenses. Compared to Alpha 7 models from Sony, which were flagship models before Alpha 9 came out, there are several important upgrades. First of all, Alpha 9 has a brand new battery. It has twice the capacity, and it is strong enough to allow this camera to take minimum of 600 or 700 shots from a single charge. This is twice better than Alpha 7 series, which took maybe 300 or 400 shots from single battery. Of course, this is the lowest number. If you're gonna use this camera often in burst mode, you will be able to fire several thousand shots from a single battery. This is really DSLR territory. And this is actually second mirrorless camera on the market with such good battery life. The first one was Panasonic GH5. Ergonomics is also better compared to Alpha 7. Finally, we got a joystick on the back. I don't know why Sony took 3 or 4 years to put one, because people complained about that since first Alpha 7 model, and that was, I think, in 2012 or 13. Also, back dial is improved. It has more resistance when rotated and pressed. If you use the camera with the gloves, it is easier to know that you pressed it. Some other things are not perfect though. For example, there is very little space between the lens and the grip, and if you have bigger fingers, they will easily get stuck over here. Also, I don't like the placement of the front dial, which is way too close to my middle finger. It's very hard to reach for it. This camera can be extremely customized. There are no less than 10 external buttons, each of which can have a function of your choosing. It will take some time to adjust the camera, but once you do, you will feel like home with it. Also, Sony improved the menu system. Finally, it has color-coded tabs, and the functions are more logically placed inside of it. It is not perfect, but it is definitely better than on Alpha 7 models. This camera also has twin memory card slots. Slot number 1 is UHS 2 compatible, slot number 2 isn't, but at least there are two of them. I recommend buying the fastest possible memory card, UHS 2, for 4K video and 20 frames per second bursts. On the back you can see 3 inches LCD viewfinder, which is pretty much perfect. That is of course expected. It is tiltable 90 degrees up, 45 degrees down, and it has touch functions. But what is weird, touch function works only for autofocus points and zooming into recorded images. You cannot slide images left or right with it, and also it doesn't work for menu or quick menu. I don't know why, this is very weird. What's up with that, Sony? This camera also records video in 4K resolution at 30 frames per second. You can of course select lower resolutions. Full HD is available at 30 or 60 frames per second with sound, or even 120 frames per second without sound, so you have slow motion in full HD resolution. I would like to point out 4K video is recorded from full wide of the sensor, so if you have a 50mm lens, your video will also have a 50mm viewing angle. This is excellent. When you are recording you can also see audio levels. This is very good, some cameras do not have it. Alpha 9 has pretty much all connectors you might want, USB, HDMI, stereo microphone input, headphones output, and also LAN connector. There is also Wi-Fi function built in, so that's pretty much everything you might want or need, except the fact that the USB is only 2.0, I don't know why it is not 3.0. Video quality is quite good. I am especially pleased with how this camera records video in low light. You can go up to ISO 12,000, 25,000 and videos will be quite good. Image quality is pretty much perfect from this camera. This is to be expected. High ISO is excellent, low ISO excellent, dynamic range is excellent, everything is fine. Somebody might argue there are even better cameras regarding pure image quality, like Alpha 7R Mark II and III, but you don't have to worry, Alpha 9 is pretty damn good. It is among 4 or 5 best cameras on the market in terms of image quality. So for the end there is the question who this camera is actually for. Since it is very expensive, my opinion is that it is best only for those who really need fast autofocus tracking and 20 frames per second burst in RAW format. If you don't need these two features, I think you are better off with a cheaper camera, for example any of the Alpha 7 models, Alpha 7S, R, Mark II, III, whatever. You're probably best with Alpha 7R Mark III, which has a lot of features built into this camera. It has equally strong battery, it has joystick, 4K video and so on. So if you are not professional photojournalist, you do not shoot wildlife all the time, I'm not sure this camera is absolutely needed. Also, I would like to point out, if you shoot video regularly, this is probably not the best choice. Video is extremely good from this camera, but I think this is primarily still image camera and second for video recording. For video recording you will probably be better with Alpha 7 models once again, so in my opinion this is strongly a professional camera. That's pretty much everything for this review. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, and thanks for watching.